All right, chapter 24. We shall have an outcry of silences if a single instance of anything be disregarded by a system. Our own attitude is that a single instance is a powerless thing. Of course, our own method of agreement of many instances is not a real method. In continuity, all things must have resemblances with all other things. Anything has any quasi identity you please. Some time ago, conscription was assimilated with either autocracy, nope, acracity, autocracy, autocracy. I don't know that word. Auto, yeah, autocracy or democracy. Democracy? Autocracy or democracy. That's it, with equal facility. Note the need for a dominant to correlate to. Scarcely anybody said simply that we must have conscription, but that we must have conscription, which correlates with democracy, which has taken as a base or something basically desirable. Of course, between acracy, I can't say that word, autocracy and democracy, nothing but false demarcation can be drawn. So I can conceive of no subject upon which there should be such poverty as a single instance. If anything one pleases can be whipped into line. However, we shall try to be more nearly real than the Darwinites who advance concealing coloration as Darwinism, and then drag in proclaiming luminosity too as Darwinism. I think the Darwinites had better come in with us as to the deep sea fishes and be sorry later, I suppose. It will be amazing or negligible to read all the instances now to come of things that have been seen in the sky and to think that all have been disregarded. My own opinion is that it is not possible or very easy to disregard them now that they have been brought together, but that if prior to about this time we had attempted such an assemblage, the old dominant would have withered our typewriter, as it is the letter E has gone back on us, and the letter S is temperamental. Most extraordinary and singular phenomenon, North Wales, August 26, 1894. A disk from which projected an orange-colored body that looked like an elongated flatfish, reported by Admiral Omeni, Nature 50-524, disk from which projected a hook-like form, India, about 1838. Diagram of it given, disk about the size of the moon, but brighter than the moon, visible about 20 minutes, by G. Petit in Professor Baden-Powell's catalog. Very brilliant hook-like form seen in the sky at Portland, Trumbull County, Ohio, during the stream of meteors of 1833. Visible more than an hour, large luminous body, almost stationary for a time, shaped like a square table. Niagara Falls, November 13th, 1833, something described as a bright white cloud at night, November 3rd, 1886, at Hamar, Norway. From it were emitted brilliant rays of light, drifted across the sky, retained throughout its original form. Thing with an oval nucleus and streamers with dark bands and lines, very suggestive of structure. New Zealand, May 4th, 1888. Luminous object, size of a moon, visible an hour and a half. Chile, November 5th, 1883. Bright object near sun, December 21st, 1882. Light that looked like a great flame far out at sea, off Ryuk Fio, December 2nd, 1845. Something like a gigantic trumpet, suspended vertical, oscillating gently, visible 5 or 6 minutes. Length estimated at 425 feet. At Oaxaca, Mexico, July 6th, 1874. Two luminous bodies seemingly united, visible 5 or 6 minutes. June 3rd, 1898. Thing with a tail, crossing moon, transit half a minute, September 26, 1870. Object 4 or 5 times size of moon, moving slowly across the sky, November 1st, 1885. Near Adrianople, large body, colored red, moving slowly, visible 15 minutes, reported by Kogaya Marcellus, August 1st, 1871. Details of this observation and similar observation by Walleman and other instances by Dauphinville. Thing that was large and that was stationary twice in 7 minutes. Oxford, November 19th, 1847. Listed by Lowe. Grayish object that looked to be about 3.5 feet long, rapidly approaching the earth at Saarbruck, April 1st, 1826. Sound like thunder. Object expanding like a sheet. Report by an astronomer, N.S. Drayton, upon an object, duration of which seemed to him extraordinary. Duration 3/4 of a minute. Jersey City, July 6, 1882. Object like a comet, but with proper motion of 10 degrees an hour. Visible 1 hour. Reported by Purin and Glancy from the Cordoba Observatory, Argentina, March 14, 1916. Something like a signal light, reported by Glacier, October 4th, 1844, bright as Jupiter, sending out quick flickering waves of light. I think that with the object known as Eddie's Comet passes away the last of our susceptibility to the common fallacy of personifying. It is one of the most deep-rooted and positivist illusions that people are persons. We have been guilty too often of spleens and spites and ridicules against astronomers as if they were persons or final unities, individuals, completenesses, or selves, instead of intermediate. Indeterminate parts. Indeterminate. Some of these friggin' words, man. But parts. But so long as we remain in quasi-existence, we can cast out illusion only with some other illusion, though the other illusion may approximate higher to reality. So we personify no more, but we superpersonify. We now take into full acceptance our expression that development is an autocracy of successive dominants, which are not final, but which approximate higher to individuality or selfness than do the human tropisms that irresponsibility correlate to them. Eddie reported a celestial object from the observatory at Grahamstown, South Africa. It was in 1890. The new dominant was only heir presumptive then, or heir apparent but not obvious. The thing that Eddie reported might as well have been reported by a night watchman who had looked up through an unplaced sewer pipe. It did not correlate. The thing was not admitted to monthly notices. I think myself that if the editor had attempted to let it in, earthquake or a mysterious fire in his publishing house, the dominants are jealous gods. In nature, presumably a vassal of the new god, though, of course, also plausibly rendering homage to the old, is reported a comet-like body of October 27th, 1890, observed at Grahamstown by Eddie. It may have looked comet-like, but it moved 100 degrees while visible, or 100 degrees in 3/4 of an hour. See Nature 43-89-90. In Nature 44-519, Professor Copeland describes a similar appearance that he had seen September 10th, 1891. Dreyer says that he had seen this object at the Armagh Observatory. He likens it to the object that was reported by Eddie. It was seen by Dr. Alexander Graham Bell September 11th, 1891 in Nova Scotia. But the old dominant was a jealous god, so there were different observations upon something that was seen in November 1883. These observations were Philistines in 1883. In the American Met Journal 1-110, a correspondent reports having seen an object like a comet with two tails, one up and one down. November 10th or 12th, 1883. Very likely this phenomenon should be placed in our expression upon torpedo-shaped bodies that have been seen in the sky. Our data upon dirigibles or super zeppelins, but our attempted classifications are far from rigorous or are mere gropes. In the Scientific American 50-40, a correspondent writes from Humacao, Puerto Rico, that November 21st, 1883, he and several other persons as it were, had seen a majestic appearance like a comet. Visible 3 successive nights, disappeared then. The editor says that he can offer no explanation. If accepted, this thing must have been close to the Earth. If it had been a comet, it would have been seen widely, and the news would have been telegraphed over the world, says the editor. Upon page 97 of this volume of the Scientific American, a correspondent writes that at Sulphur Springs, Ohio, he had seen a wonder in the sky at about the same date. It was torpedo-shaped, or something with a nucleus at each end of which was a tail. Again, the editor says that he can offer no explanation, that the object was not a comet. He associates it with the atmospheric efforts general in 1883, but it will be our expression that in England and Holland, a similar object was seen in November 1882. In the Scientific American 40-294, it is published a letter from Henry Harrison of Jersey City, copied from the New York Tribune, that upon the evening of April 13, 1879, Mr. Harrison was researching for Brorsen's comet when he saw an object that was moving so rapidly that it could not have been a comet. He called a friend to look, and his observation was confirmed. At 2 o'clock in the morning, this object was still visible. In the Scientific American, Supplement 7-2885, Mr. Harrison disclaims sensationalism, which he seems to think unworthy, and gives technical details. He says that the object was seen by Mr. J. Spencer DeVoe of Manhattanville.